I heard that the heart of a blue whale is so big that a human being can stand up tall inside of it. And I know you'd hate me for making this comparison, but I like to imagine that your heart is so big that too many people tried to climb inside, forced you to take a moment to step back and figure out if there's still room to love yourself. I always joked that you loved the things that were too small to accommodate you. The big city guy always squeezing into the smallest cafes, always standing out when you wanted to blend in. My heart was one of those places. It was never built to accommodate friendship as big as yours. When you left, you opened up a 6-foot stupid wound that I'm still trying to heal. You were, and always will be, the Kenny to my Dolly, my guy in the audience, coffee cup across the table, sunglasses on a winter morning. You were always there. I could never live up to you, but always wanted to. I looked up to you like a big brother figure. I'd watch you perform with pride, always awestruck, my eyes open wide. I can't stop thinking about the last time I saw you, how the anxiety had made you shrink. But a spark as bright as yours is hard to dim. The world had piled too many problems onto your shoulders. I watched as they weighed you down, tried so hard to lift the burden, but you asked to be left to drown. It's hard to describe the feeling of watching your house burn down and not being allowed to extinguish the flames. When you stopped replying, I watched as your online ghost appeared in music players. Your song choices play out like my new green light. I sit and watch as you flicker in the distance online, listening, missing. I write to you, screaming out into the void with no response, hate that I wonder how seeing my name in a notification makes you feel. I miss your stupid, drunken smile, your laugh, your ability to take me out of my own head. I just wish I could do the same for you, wish I could tell you that none of this is worth celebrating without you. Wish that we could go back to that last cup of coffee. I was so mad that you were busy that I didn't make the most of it. I didn't know it would be our last. Still hope it won't be. Still hope I get the chance to say, I'm sorry. I'm still here. I'm listening. I'm not going anywhere. I hope you know this. I heard that the heart of a blue whale is so big that a human being can stand up tall inside of it. And I know you'd hate me for making this comparison, but I like to imagine that your heart is so big that too many people tried to climb inside, forced you to take a moment to step back and figure out if there's still room to love yourself. I started writing poetry when I was in high school, armed with the experiences I was living secondhand through books, TV shows, movies, and music. My poetry at the time was full of passion and inexperience. I was playing around with lives and loves that I had not inhabited yet. I was a maiden in Tudor England, in love with a soldier away fighting for his king. A boy slowly falling in love across a busy coffee shop. I was any character from any of my favorite films or TV shows. I was anyone but myself. My poetry at the time was met by the support of my high school English teachers. And looking back, I could cringe at the thought of these teachers that I still admire so much, reading these teenage ramblings about what I thought love was, and everything that I thought came with that territory. But looking back, the support that I was lucky enough to receive gave me the confidence to continue writing. and it got me up on stage to perform for the first time at my high school talent show. I was, and still am, a very anxious person, but being up on stage performing poetry, despite my Bambi knees, felt natural to me. But then, at 17, I had my first ever panic attack. It was on stage at a high school debate team competition. I was opening the debate for the school, and when I opened my mouth, nothing came out. I froze. I lost the debate for the school, and with that, I lost my confidence. I couldn't get back up on stage anymore, so what was the point in writing poetry? So I stopped. My return to poetry then came years later, after a whole university degree, when I'd gone through a breakup. I'd been in back-to-back relationships from the age of 16, and now, for the first time in my early 20s, I was completely on my own. And so poetry became my way of navigating my place in the world and figuring out who I was. And as a young woman in her early 20s, I had a thing or two that I wanted to say about love. But I quickly realized that the poetry I was writing was not about the boy who broke my heart or the boy I thought would fix it. It was about me. It was my way of navigating my place in the world. I'm a white woman in her mid-20s from the West Midlands, and I very much write about that experience. But what I've learnt from performing poetry is that no matter how personal these stories feel to me, the themes that I'm talking about, love, loss, connection, and belonging, are universal, and they're so entwined with our human experience. And what I love the most about doing autobiographical works is the vulnerability of it, not only for me as a performer, but the audience, and the conversations that follow on from a performance. As I open up on stage about my personal experiences of love and loss, the audience opens up to me afterwards, and I've shared some beautiful conversations after gigs and open mics with people who have watched me perform. The poem that I'd like to finish on draws on those themes of connection and belonging. I'm originally from the West Midlands, as previously mentioned, and never more so than over the last 2 years when I've been away from home have I felt more of a connection to it. And so over the past 2 years, I've written a lot of work about Birmingham. So here's one that I want to share. It's the sound of high heels clattering over cobblestones, their echo under bridges over stationary waters. It is love locks clasping hold of canal locks. Rain dancing across the pavement. We could be anywhere in Europe right now, but this is my home. It's the lights of the city, scattered densely like stars. They twinkle in your eyes as you lean over the balcony of the library. It's exchange kisses and holding hands. It's that warm embrace of being called our kid. It's the grey facades of the working class dressed in Sunday best, the thick accents of industry running through our veins. This is the voice of my family. Phrases I don't often hear outside this city. This is something to be proud of, because we are more than Peaky Blinders or Ozzy Osbourne or Benefit Street. These roots run deep. And Yao can call me a yam yam, because I'd rather be in Digbeth than Camden, but this is a first-class second city. And if you ask me, it's just as pretty as London or Paris, just a little more rough around the edges, but wear and tear is to be expected when something is so well loved. And yeah, we've got more canals than Venice, but there's also the cathedral gardens where my granddad got down on one knee. It's a clock tower, viewed from a house that's housed half my family, and the empty streets of Longbridge, where once stood our factory. It's the canal towpath, down by Regency Wharf, a boat that my dad built, still moored at the edge of the water. We could be anywhere in Europe right now. But of all the places we could come, I'm always glad to be back in Brum. Thank you.